People coming from other communities that make a little bit more money than they do, and that have the ability to rent or buy property, forcing people to move further and further away. And I'm very, very proud to stand here today because it gives me the opportunity to recognize the UFW for contributing to our community, not only in organizing the workforce, but in building this beautiful facility, which provides us with an opportunity to be able to meet here and to use it for a multitude of purposes. So congratulations to the UFW for building this facility and for opening their doors to all of us. Thank you to Dolores Huerta for her many, many years of advocacy, not just for farm workers, but for women and for every population, the LGBTQ community, any population that is felt made to feel less than. She's been there, and we're incredibly honored to have you and to have you with us here today. And a big abrazo and congratulations to one of our newest assembly members in the assembly, Robert Rivas, who grew up in farmworker housing, who understands the power of having a decent place to live, and understands how critically important housing affects health. And if we're not healthy, then we have a hard time maintaining our families. And that the connection between housing and health is really critically important. And Robert understood that. I think that's what gave him the energy to be able to do this bill. And I'm proud to say that you know, you got to get it through two houses. You got to get it through the assembly and then come over to our house. And I'm honored to say that I was privileged to be able to help get this bill through the Senate, so that we could get it to the governor's desk. I was one of the co-authors on the bill, and I was honored to be that co-author. So Robert, congratulations. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you all so much for being here. I do have to do a little housekeeping, which I learned from Ana Caballero. So Ana's, you know, she's more than a friend. I like to say she's like family. You know, she's always been a tremendous role model for me. She's my mentor, and she always sets such a positive example, not only for me but for everybody. She's one of the most respected legislators in Sacramento because she's no nonsense and she means business. So thank you for that, Ana. And so I do want to recognize all of my friends and elected officials who are here. Ian Oglesby, Mayor of Seaside. John Wizard, council member from Seaside. My good friend, Chris Lopez, county supervisor here in Monterey County. Chris and I, you know, share a lot in common because we both got our start in politics from Simone Salinas. And so, you know, Chris, I appreciate you being here. Simone, unfortunately, couldn't be here. He and Luis Alejo wanted to be here, but unfortunately couldn't be here. Two people who have done tremendous work for our farm-working families, so certainly want to acknowledge them. Of course, my good friend, Mayor Joe Gunter, John Horner, Morgan Hill Unified School District, Horner, Enrique Diaz, Gilroy Unified School District, my friend Leslie Austin, chair of the Democratic Party in San Benito, and her husband Wayne Norton, member of the Water Board in Romas, Diego Jacob Sandoval from the Santa Rita School Board, my friend Francisco Paco Estrada, mayor of Watsonville, and of course Erica Padilla Chavez, a Harnell trustee, and certainly her husband, longtime council member from the city of Soledad, Alejandro Chavez. Gloria De La Rosa, City of Salinas, Scott Davis, council member, both council members from the City of Salinas. See here, John McKay, City of Morgan Hill. Former councilwoman from the City of Morgan Hill, Caitlin. And then Rachel Perez, trustee of Gavilan College. Longtime activist at UFW, Mayor Ramon Batista. Leo Salazar, Hartnell Board of Trustees, and then Joe Paul Gonzalez, he's the county clerk, auditor recorder in San Benito, and his wife Irma Gonzalez, trustee of Gavilan College, and then of course my friend Cecilia Fonzini, who does tremendous nonprofit work and is one of the greatest philanthropists I've ever known. And the reason why it's so important to acknowledge these people, because each and every one of them, this bill would not have been successful without them. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for everything you do for our communities. And certainly want to thank Ana, I want to thank Lorena Gonzalez for being here, and I want to thank all of the co-authors on this bill who couldn't make it, like Scott Wiener from San Francisco, because they recognize the significant need that we have here in this valley and in this state. But certainly it is, and I also want to mention really quickly, my friend Nacho. Come on. Nacho is an incredible artist and painted this with a But it is great to it is great to be here. Just over 12 months ago, we were here in this room, and it was a rally, and we talked about the future. And I promised you then, when I was a candidate for Assembly, that I would never ever forget my roots, that I would never forget where I came from, that I would fight for you, and that I would fight for every single person in this Assembly district when I got to Sacramento. And you know me, and you certainly know my story well. I'm sure a lot of you are sick of hearing it right now. But I'm proud to have been raised in farmworker housing right here in Assembly District 30 in San Benito County, Casinas. I lived there with my mom, my brother Rick, who is here somewhere in the back, and 8 members of our family. We lived at Almaden Vineyards, Casinas. And it was my grandfather who worked in the field at Almaden for over 30 years. It was my grandmother and great-grandmother who worked at a tomato cannery in downtown Hollister to support our family. And we all lived together in a very small 2-room shelter that today would have been condemned, and we would have likely been forced to move, and it would have been torn down. And that's probably why I couldn't have friends over. Certainly couldn't have slumber parties, because I'm sure those people, my friends, wouldn't want to sleep between myself and my great-grandmother and my brother. That's the honest truth. But looking back now, I didn't realize how hard we had it as a family, because it was all I knew. And I was surrounded by the love of my family and the hope that one day our family would be like so many others in this valley, that we would live out the California dream. And the truth is that I would never, ever give back the years that I had at Almaden Vineyards, the years I grew up in farmworker housing, because it was that experience, that helped me shape who I was, who I am, and how I view the world today. So my grandfather, I recall him telling my brother and I every single day that if we worked hard, if we went to school, that one day we'd get to lead Almaden, that we'd have our own home, and we'd be able to support our family. And he was absolutely right. We were very lucky as a family. My brother and I, very lucky. But we have farm workers and their children that don't have that same luck today. And the California dream, for them, it seems like a distant idea, and it doesn't seem like a possibility. And the reason why the last few months this was such a struggle and a challenge, and why it meant so much to me, because it was deeply personal, this issue and this bill, was because we have farm workers that are living in garages just down the street from here. We have farm workers that are living in tents, in vans, in abandoned buildings. Farm workers living in trailers with no air conditioning. And this is after they spend a day under the sun doing the most grueling work. And here, what we suffer from is severe overcrowding for the families, where that is the norm. Where you have multiple families living in a single apartment. Multiple families, it was reported, 40 people, they found 40 people living in a single family home that only had 2 bathrooms. And the problem is that these aren't just farm workers we're talking about, it's their children. And right here in the district that Ana and I represent, in the Salinas Valley, you have 1 in 10 students are homeless. Farm farm working students. At 12 schools, that number is 1 in 5 students are homeless. And this is happening right here in the Golden State. We hear it all the time, the 5th largest economy in the world. 5th largest economy in the world. And farm workers ensure that places like Google and Apple and Facebook can have endless supplies of food in their lavish cafeterias. But yet these same farm workers can't have a safe and decent roof over their heads. And that's why this year, for me, this issue, this bill, Assembly Bill 1783, the Farmworker Housing Act of 2019, was our priority, our #1 priority. It was a bill to begin to address the issue of the tremendous shortage of farm worker housing. And not only the shortage here in the Salinas Valley, but all parts of California. If you think it's bad here, it's bad in the Central Valley. And this bill is the first step, and beginning January 1st, it creates an opt-in program designed to streamline the process by which decent, quality farm worker housing gets built. Dignified housing for the workers who keep us fed and certainly drive our state economy, our agricultural economy. And this bill isn't a silver bullet. It won't solve all our problems with regard to farm worker housing, because certainly there's much more work to be done. But it is an important first step to get this momentum going, to do even more, to create tools that are going to support our farm workers and all families throughout the state. And don't get me wrong, this was a challenge. This was a difficult 12 months. Trying to push this bill through the legislature, it was a struggle every step of the way. We had to get through 6 policy committees. We had to get it through the Assembly, through the Senate. And with the help of many of you here, especially my friend Dolores Huerta, there's a reason why the governor waited. This is the last bill he signed this year in the Assembly. And there's a reason why he waited that long. He didn't know what he was going to do. But at the end of the day, we had done so much work. Dolores was in his office. We called him multiple times. We were in dialogue with the staff daily. And Dolores showed up and wouldn't leave his office. But to say the least, we got this bill done and we got it signed. The governor did the right thing by signing it. And I am extremely proud of our staff. Steve O'Mara, who couldn't be here, suffered a brain hemorrhage, had to have emergency surgery. And this bill would not have been possible without him, all the work he invested. And so certainly he is recovering, and we wish he and his wife and family the best. But Steve and Brad Strong, Rita Durgan, where's Rita? Rita Durgan. Dylan Lamonto. Dominic Dursa. Ricardo Estrada. And Stephen Jimenez, who unfortunately is no longer with us in Sacramento. And to the many local leaders, like Mayor Gunter and Chris Lopez, my friend Sean Tannenbaum from San Diego High School, Dr. Rhodes from Gavin College, Matt Huerta, all these local nonprofits and housing organizations who work day and night to give farm workers and their families a voice. And so it was all of them, all of you that helped push this bill across the finish line, and for that I'm eternally grateful, and so are farm workers throughout the state. And I want to thank the president of UFW, Teresa Romero, who was a tremendous ally throughout the entire year. And multiple times when we met, we'd have conversations over the phone to talk about strategy, to talk about the obstacles that we had, which were many. But of course, there's one person who was relentless in her support of this bill. And she would text me before I woke. She would text me and call me after I went to sleep. But she was always ready to jump on a plane, a train, a bus, to get to Sacramento to lobby, to work on behalf of farm workers. And look, the other side has billions of dollars. millions of dollars on lobbying programs, multi-million-dollar PACs. And they will stop at nothing to protect their interests, right? But what did we have? We had Dolores Huerta. This bill would not have been possible. It would not have been possible without her. For the greatest fighter for Latino rights that the world has ever seen, I'd like to invite up here, say a few words, my good friend, Dolores Huerta.
Thank you very much, Robert. I know that this never would have happened without everybody's support to make it happen. And, you know, I was fortunate to know Robert and his grandfather, Fernando, and he was a big leader in the farmworker movement. And as I would go around the state negotiating contracts with the different farm workers, with different companies, and when I would come to Hollister with his grandfather and his uncle, and they had a strong committee, you know, they actually set up their own office. They put their own telephone, they did all of the expenses, but they didn't want to take any money from the United Farmers, because they said, we're going to raise our money in our own office. And they got to the point where they would do their own negotiation. I would just come in and rubber stamp what they did. So your grandfather was a great leader, and he would be very, very proud of you. And Rick also, for all what you've been doing. And you know, when we think about this, this is such a simple thing, that you're going to be able to provide farmworker housing for farmworker families, and that the growers, the employers, can provide this housing, and the state is going to pay for it. Yeah. I mean, really? How could anybody oppose something like this? You know? How could anybody oppose something like this? And when we think of the contributions the farm workers give us every single day, putting the food on our table, and yet we know that to this day, even though United Farm Workers and with the leadership of the unions, like people like Teresa, the farm workers have gotten some dignity, but God knows we have a long way to go still. To think that though even would have had any kind of a struggle, it would have been just an automatic yes for everybody to support it. But that really shows, I think, that we have a long way to go. And the other thing, I think, when we think of housing, that actually how perilous this area is for all of you. When we think of the gentrification that's happened, like in San Jose, and now it's happening here in Salinas, and I like to say, who do they think is going to pick the crops? Okay, really? You know, where the farmers need to have housing, the families need to have, they deserve it, and it needs to happen. And the other thing too that I think is, we know that we have problems, but how wonderful it is that we have legislators that are courageous enough, visionary enough to say, you know what, there's problems, but we have the solutions, right? Mm-hmm. We have the solutions. This could actually happen for workers and also to help the employers out at the same time. So I think that we're really fortunate. The other thing too, we know as during election time, and a lot of politicians come and they make all kinds of promises, and then once they get into office, they forget. Well, Rob, I think, has set a new high standard for all of the people who have done it. He said he remembered where he came from, he remembered the promises that he made when he was asking all of you to help him get elected, and he kept his promises. And so we know that he's going to be able to do a lot of much greater things to fulfill the needs that we have of our farmer families, of the Latino community, and of course, also he's an expert on education, right? And that's another big battle, of course, that all of us have to engage in. And of course, with people like Ana Caballero, some of the other great people we have in the legislature, they were able to make this happen. I, for one, I am just really happy that I could be a part of it. I want to thank you, Robert, for including me. because again, it takes all of us to make these things happen. So I'm very grateful to all of you for all the help that you gave, Robert, to pass this bill, and I want to thank you, Teresa, for hosting us here. Y todos mis amigos allá. Organizers that never give up on farm workers. And you know, there's still a struggle today, because you know, even with all the work that we've done, we think the farm workers should be the people that are the most respected in our society because of the hard work that they do, and we know that we're still not there yet. So again, we have a lot more work to do, but I think that we have the leadership to make it happen, and Teresa, and all of the organizers here, and all of you elected officials here, and our great state assemblyman here, Roberto Rivas, okay? I just want to talk for a minute, okay? One of the things that the Workers Foundation that we're working on right now is the census, okay? And but people say, oh, we don't have to worry about the census, it's not going to happen in 2020. But we have to start working right now because the people in the Latino community, people are not scared. They are terrified. They are terrified about being counted in the census. So we're asking everybody to be sure and get out there, put the word out there to everybody, and remind them that each one of us is worth how much? $2,000, each one of us. If we do not get counted, that money will not come into our community. And after 10 years, that's $20,000 for each one of us that does not get counted. We will lose $20,000. It's going to be for schools, for hospitals, you know, for infrastructure, and of course for education. So anyway, please put that word out there to everybody that you know. We have to get counted porque si no nos contamos, nos fregamos, okay? Para proveer casas, viviendas para las familias campesinas, y sabemos que debemos de tener mucho más para nuestras personas. Y también sabemos que aquí esta área está en peligro porque como mucha gente ya se está haciendo, como se dice, el gentrification, y se están aumentando muchos los precios de rentas y de casas, que siempre tenemos que seguir peleando para que haya viviendas que la gente en realidad puede comprar y que puede estar. Y también estamos pidiendo a todos y a todas que nos ayuden en el censo, porque si no nos contamos, vamos a perder dinero por cada uno de nosotros que no nos contamos. Perdemos $2,000 por cada persona, sobre 10 años con $20,000, y ese dinero viene para nuestras escuelas, viene también para hospitales y la infraestructura que necesitamos. Así es que le pedimos a todos que por favor, el censo no es hasta abril del 2020, pero tenemos que empezar ahora, porque la gente tiene mucho miedo. Y no va a haber ninguna pregunta de ciudadanía en el censo, porque nosotros le pusimos una demanda al concurso y ganamos. Because we sued our president, and guess what we won, okay? The census is confidential. They can't share the information with anybody. If they do, they can go to prison for 5 years or pay $250,000 fine. Dice, no se puede compartir información del censo con nadie, porque si acaso dan esta información, pueden ir a la cárcel por 5 años o pagar una multa de $250,000. Así que tenemos que decir a la gente que no tengan miedo, que toda la gente, que sean inmigrantes, aunque no tengan documentos, que necesitamos que se cuenten, porque ese dinero que tiene para sus hijos y para la escuela. ¿Okay? So, para terminar, vamos a decir una cosa grata para Roberto. ¿Se les parece? Sí. Yeah. Okay. So, before we're going to say a big old viva here for Roberto Rivas. Okay, so I'm going to say que viva Roberto Rivas, y ustedes por favor acompáñenme con una viva. ¡Que viva Roberto Rivas! Podemos seguir adelante. We're going to go ahead and have more great legislation with all of our great assemblymen and senators here. What do we say? ¿Se puede o no se puede? Sí, se puede. Un aplauso organizado. Let's do it. That's nice applause. Okay, let's go. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede.
better believe I don't have much to say after that. Simply say, please, everybody stay. Enjoy this celebration today that all these people brought. I do want to point out one thing. To all the young women leaders here, please take note of all the women here that we have in leadership positions. We have tacos in the back. Thank you, Gordas Alced, for providing the tacos. Please, everybody, enjoy. Thank you.